So today we're going to talk about OG London United versus Acend on Icebox because it was quite a different, interesting Icebox, and it's so nice to see some different picks on Icebox because of course we aren't really used to that. One is we get the return of Reyna, something we haven't seen for a little while, and I will talk about that a bit, but also we get Fade on Icebox, and I think that most people would think that, Icebox wasn't necessarily a Fade map and that Sova would be better on this map, and I'm sure that London United agree because they're also running Sova as well. It's just that they're running Fade on top of that, which is a really interesting idea, and having seen this game, I think they got some good value out of Fade. I'm still interested to see what teams are really doing with Fade. But yeah, they did get some value. And it starts here really on round number 3, which is actually the bonus for London United here. And they are going to lose this round. But you can see that there's potential here, I think. And it starts with this, because what's happened so far is that Acend have showed some presence towards this A site, but then, they're going to be delayed and come back, and so they're on their way to rotating, and so we're going to get a Prowler out from the Fade that is going to be able to clear all of this area here, see that no one is there, see that no one is close, and so they're able to, sort of just leave the Sage on their own there on that site. And so as we run this forward, what we're going to see is, well, actually we're almost going to see Zeke. He gets a bit careless there and almost pays for it. But yeah, Acend are just going to go for a B hit here. They are just going to come towards the B site. But what we've seen on Icebox before, particularly if you remember Zeta, is this kind of thing. You get the C's from Fade, which traps them in that area. You get a Snakebite Molly from the Viper, and then you're going to get a Shock Dart on top of that. And this Sova has no chance. He can't leave. He's hit by the vulnerable, the Snakebite, and also now you have a Shock Dart as well. And if you remember watching like Zeta Division, they pretty much won a game of Icebox just based off Sova and Viper Molly lineups to deny plants. It's just super strong on this map, and I think adding in a phase C's to that as well, it's only going to help you. And also maybe the reveal as well, you have extra information that you can spam maybe in certain areas. There seems to be some potential there, and I think you see it there. Now, as we run this round further forward, Acend, as I mentioned, are going to win this round. But this was actually pretty winnable for London United here. They put down another Snakebite there. They put in the Haunt for the reveal. They send in the drone. There's a ton of information that they can get. And really here, what's going to win the round for Acend is Cena doing this. He's just going to spam and find a couple kills. But the spike starts to go down. Of course, Acend don't have a Sage, which I'm not really a big fan of. I think that they might get punished for that later down the line. But here, Molsey, I don't know why he doesn't spam. Because they don't have a Sage, you pretty much know that they have to be planting there. The spike just went down. You know that whoever's planting has to be there. So I don't really know why he doesn't spam. But as we can see, it would have been a free kill. Zeke's, tagged up as well. It would have been a free kill. And I don't know why he does it, because you'll see that CNED is about to get 2 kills doing the opposite, where he's just going to spam and find 2 random kills. So we end up in a 2v4 instead. But it really could have gone the way of London United this round. And I think that, those lineups from the Fade and whatnot, as we see these final kills come in, but those lineups from the Fade with the C's and whatnot, there's real potential there on this map, because we've already seen a lot of kills in that kind of instance, and we saw one here, and I do think that going forward, maybe that's something that teams can work on. And now let's come to round number 9, and the situation is this. We have had a kill in mid for Acend, and a kill here on B as well, so it's actually a 5v3. As you can see, we've got the Viper's Pit down on A, so they are just going to head towards the B site. But actually, we're going to get some kills back on the side of London United. Molsey's just going to swing out here from the side of yellow and find one, and then Boo on the Sage is also going to be able to find another crossing there. So we end up in a 3v3 instead, and now they see CNET as well. Some bullets get fired, but Acend have a nice idea here. They have a nice plan for this, because CNET is just going to delay, keep firing bullets and whatnot to keep the attention here, whilst Zeke wraps around the back and gets a kill. But Boo is aware that that could happen, so he's also going to wrap around and get the trade out. So we end up in a 2v2. Let's watch that happen now. So yeah, you got Zeke coming on this left-hand side. He's going to get that kill, but then Boo trades around and gets the next one. So we're in a 2v2. The Viper, meanwhile, on the side of London United has come to mid and cleared a bit of that out. And they realize that they have a res available, and there is the Fade, who is readily available to be resed in a nice, safe-ish position, you might say. So they go and defend the res, and they get it. So we end up in a 3v2. But the thing is, they put up this Viper wall as well, and they probably didn't expect that Acend, would just push through it. you know, not knowing where they were, but they did, and so Vac is going to be able to find the first and second kill. Really nice shot on the second one, but then Destrian's going to be able to get it back, and now we end up in this, a 1v1 with a Fade versus a Silver, and we get the Fade ult onto the Spike. Obviously, there isn't much time left, and so in comes the Haunt, so now, you know, Vac is panicking a bit. In comes the reveal, so now we get the reveal as well, and so now, you know, it's all going crazy, and then comes in the Seed as well, and now there really is, you know, like, it's time to plant the Spike. He tries to tap it, but of course Destrian knows exactly where he has to be, right? There's only a certain location that he can really be within. He also needs to tap the Spike, so really this area that, you know, the Seas went like this, but really the area that he can only be in is something like that. So it's very easy for Destrian to come around and swing, knowing pretty much exactly where Vac is going to be, and of course, as we can see here, he gets the kill and wins the round. And so again, we get a nice little Fade round that was pretty hyped to see, and of course, just Fade. I think this is where Fade might be best used. Just spamming that utility, you know, to win this 1v1 worked pretty well. And yeah, some nice Fade play on Icebox. And now let's come to the very next round, and this one is crazy because here is Monster on the Viper, and he, as you can see, is running into mid. It's only just into the round, so he's literally just ran here straight away, and he's going to Viper ult in this position here. And I have never seen anyone do this before, and it's super weird, and it's super interesting. You'll see what I mean, because in goes the Viper's Pit, and it looks like this, okay? And this is a really weird Viper's Pit. You can see that London United they actually, I think, do pretty well with the way they react, but this is, you know, very odd, and so you've probably never seen this before, and it's an odd situation to find yourself in as the defensive side, right? They completely leave the A site, you know, because this Viper's Pit, what this kind of threatens, obviously the main kind of threat that you're probably expecting is that they're going to come out either this way or this way, right? That it's a nice avenue to just push through mid this way and do a B split. And you've got the Silver drone here, so, you know, it does look like this is going to be a B split. And maybe, you know, and they kind of make it look like that is the initial idea, but you can see that the Spike is actually here with the KO, who's closer to this A site. So to me, this probably looks like it was a fake all along. Or, you know, this was the intended desire effect that you would end up with a map like this. But they put this Viper's Pit down, and normally, you know, now chaos is going everywhere. You know, it's chaotic at this point. But then they just pause. You know, Acend are just going to, like, stop. You know, they do the Silver drone, and they're just going to stop. And that just creates even more uncertainty, because you know that this Viper is somewhere here, but it creates a lot of anxiety for the defenders, because it's like they could even push through here. They could push up the tube here. They could, you know, come out here and do a B split. You don't really know. It's like, it's just such a chaotic thing to have there and just sit there, you know, because they just sit there, and eventually they're going to rotate and come back to A. You can see the way that London United decided to try and defend it, where they kind of have passive eyes on all of the different parts that they could come out of, but because they need to do that, it means that they have to leave this A site open. So it's kind of a really neat idea, and as long as Monster lives here in mid, and actually almost some bullets stuck out spammed at him, and he's down to 36 HP, so he does just about live. But yeah, it meant that they kind of had to give up the A site because there were so many possibilities off the back of that Viper's Pit. They take the A site, they come in, then we're going to get a bit of CNED go kill, obviously on the Reyna. Here, you know, we expect Cena to do that. He gets one from underneath there. He's going to find a second one as well. And then he's going to actually continue to push out. But London United are actually able to get the next couple kills. There's one. They found Malsey as well. But now the problem is, of course, that, you know, it's been so long, so much else has happened that, you know, maybe you get lost in the shuffle. But of course, the Viper is still lurking in mid. The Chamber here, you know, kind of forgets that, I guess. But I mean, they did take a quick look to mid, but it's like, what do you want them to do, right? Like, how do you manage that situation? But it's really nicely played from Acend that the Viper just stays there the whole time. Really nicely played, and then they're gonna find this final kill as well. But yeah, this was a super cool round. I really like the idea that they just waited. You know, they just paused. It was like, yep, this is going to be a big problem for you to have to think about where we might be. We could all be in the Viper's Pit. We could, you know, it could just be the Viper. You don't know. And, you know, you're going to have to deal with the consequences. And then they kind of understood, well, how would a team go about defending this? Oh, it probably means they have to give up the A site. So let's just go away. Really nicely thought out by Acend. And a very nice round from them. And now let's come to the attacking pistol round, though, of London United, because this one was super, super cool as well. So as we run this round forward, the first thing we need to note is, of course, this Viper wall here, because they are going to use this to come and do a little mid-split here. And I think that this is a really nice little adjustment, because you see a lot of teams use a Sage wall to come around here. But on a pistol in particular, you know, no one's spamming and getting multiple kills through this Viper's wall here when you will run through on a pistol, so you don't really need to, and I do prefer this Viper's wall here to the Sage wall, which they'll use later on to get the spike down, right? So that's how it starts. Then we're going to get a dart in here and a fade haunt up here as well, so that reveals, you know, all of this kind of area and then all of this area as well. So you know, they know that no one basically is close to them. They also sent a prowler up the start of the tube here, so they know that no one's close there either. So they clear out all of that area basically, and they're just gonna then run in off the back of that, as we can see here. They go running in. They actually put a chamber trap down as well to stop anyone fast flanking them. And yeah, they're going to plant the spike. They put up this sage wall here to just get this little corner and plant the spike there. Really nice little idea. Whilst that's gone on, the chamber has actually walked up the tube as well. So you've got the chamber now towards kitchen. You got the Viper still here, kind of, you know, ready for any flank potential. And then, you know, you've got three people towards the site as well, which is it's just a really cool idea, I think. And you know, they use their different agents pretty well there. We get this little, you know, terrible little fight there with pistols. We end up in a 3v3. But here's the thing. This chamber just causes absolute chaos because he's just able to walk up and down the tube consistently and just, you know, find that one kill. And now you can see that Zeke here is very worried about that, of course, and actually ends up in this fight. But even if Zeke won that, you know, the trade would have came out. And so we end up in this position here with Monster on his own in a 1v3, and ultimately Boo is going to be able to find this final kill as well. Just a really nice, weird little different round from London United there. That, you know, again, we don't normally see this too much on Icebox, these kind of mid splits, you know, that weird Viper wall. But it was really cool. And now let's come to round 18, and we're in this situation here. It's a 5v4 on the side of London United. They've actually used a Sage Res to get it to that point. And they are going A, as you can see. They've got the chamber lurking here in mid. So let's see how this round plays out. And actually it does start with this chamber, that the fact that this orb comes down and the chamber gets seen, I think gives Acend a bit of misinformation, because you can see the chamber gets seen there towards the bottom of the tube, and that kind of hints that maybe this is actually a B push this whole time, and actually, you know, they had been kind of showing some presence on that B site, but as we can see, it's actually just an A site exec instead. And what actually goes on there is we're going to get the haunt come down, and Zeke gets marked by the haunt. Okay, and this is going to be big for this round, I think, because he's able to get that kill, but then the Sage and the Viper kind of ignore him and go elsewhere, and so Zeke tries to sneak up here, and normally this kind of play, he might find another kill, and he might be able to really help Acend win this round. The thing is, though, of course, he's marked, and so they can see this trail, and the chamber is literally right above him on this right-hand side. He's like up here, and so I think what happens here is the chamber looks down, sees the trail, and then kills Zeke, knows that he's there. And so they get that kill as well because he's marked, I think. So again, just more fade being useful there. As we run this forward, Monster's going to go pretty big, as you can see from those two kills. And then what we're going to get is Mosley, I think, is able to get one on CNED from back here. But then again, Monster, I mean, look at that shot as well. But then in a 2v1, but you're against the Viper's pit, so it's still not guaranteed. And he drops, Hype finds a really nice position there that he drops behind him. And then, of course, in this position, it's always difficult for anyone to try and win this position. So Hype is able to find that last kill as well and win the round for OG London United. But again, I think we saw some good use out of the fade there. And then finally, let's come to round number 20, the round that ended it all. And the first thing we have to note here is what Acend are doing, because they have the little double op setup with the Reyna. Obviously, you have CNED, so it does make some sense. But actually, they put them on the same site. They put them both on B, which I thought was quite funny and kind of, you know, just you've got two ops here. Like, what happens if they go A and, you know, you lose the site? Well, I guess you just give up the round. But yeah, they are going to go B. They're actually going to go for a mid B split, as you can see there. They send in a prowler. They're going to send in a recon dart to try and clear this out. But, you know, CNED feels it, and he ults, and he pops the ult, and he goes, right, and he gets that kill. Now, here's the thing. I said I did want to talk about Reyna, because I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're picking Reyna in the year 2022, like, let's get with it. But here's the thing. I actually think that Reyna might be better than Jett on this map now. I've been thinking about it, and I think, like, what does Jett give you? Like, Reyna at least has a flash. I know it's not a great flash, but it does do something. And Reyna can, you know, play in those aggressive angles. Obviously, they're both worse than Chamber, don't get me wrong. But, you know, Reyna can still get those aggressive off angles on the defensive side, like we saw Cena do quite a few times in this game. And I was just thinking about Jett, like, they're probably about the same, but I think the flash might just slightly push it in Reyna's favor, because I'm not sure the rest of Jet's kit gives you that much. So actually, I'm kind of on the train that maybe actually Reyna is better than Jet on Icebox. But anyway, I digress. Because what's going on is we do still have this mid split going on after that first kill. We have the Sova drone that kind of gives up the game. They kind of know that's coming. So they have one op looking this way, and now you have the chamber op looking down mid instead. But actually, Destrian is able to get that kill. But Vac comes behind them after the Sova drone and gets 2 kills. Pedestrian still is able to go big, but now the problem is, they have the spike down here. They Sova ult him. Zeke's on the flank as well. So this was, never really going to go great. Pedestrian, Zeke is just back here this whole time, just waiting for him, and you can see the spike is down here. They got 2 players here. Like, there really wasn't much of a way Destrian was ever going to win that. He sees that there's 2 people there. He starts backing up a bit and runs straight into Zeke, who gets the final kill. And it was a win for Acend, but I thought we saw some interesting things. And honestly, my takeaway from this game and, some of what I saw over the last day was that this meta should be super fun. There's a ton of different things that I think people will be trying. I think it's very open and you can make a lot of stuff work. And even though the London United did lose this game to, what seems to be a bit of a revitalized Acend, I do still think that they found pretty good value out of Fade. I don't think that, that was a troll pick by any means. And that's pretty exciting, because Icebox was actually a map where I, didn't expect too much from Fade. But there definitely is, a bit of potential here.